What's up, Photos One students? This is the video for the self-portrait collage project. First thing you want to do when we jump into this is you want to have all of the photos that you want to use already chosen and in one central place. So like right here on my desktop, I've got a folder full of photos that I will be using. And so it's time to get started. So I've already got Photoshop opened. And I'm going to start with a new file. So I'm going to go into here. Well, first we're going to change this drop down menu from inches, and I want this to be on pixels. Okay. And we are going to do a width of 2000 pixels and a height of 2000 pixels. You want to make sure this resolution is at 300, and the rest of this should be fine. And there we go. We've got our square canvas here ready to go. I'm going to change my tool here because I'm on the brush tool and I don't want that. So I'm going to change to the move tool. And what you want to start doing is you can start dropping your photos into your canvas. So I'm going to minimize this. Well, I'm going to shrink this window so that way I can have room to do both. I'm just going to start dropping these photos. I'm going to start with this one. And what I want you to see right away when you start out is you've got this blue outline and this blue X across your image. It's asking you if you want to resize the image. So what I can do is with these corners right here, you see it's got that double arrow there. I can drag this in and out. I'm going to drag this a little bit just to kind of resize it and shrink it up a little. You can also grab like these sides and these top boxes right here, and that's just fine. This thing in the middle here is it's a pivot point, and so you can rotate these photos, right? So when I go out to this corner, you can see that this double arrow, my cursor turns into like a 90-degree angle double arrow, something like that, and you can just grab it and start rotating the photo like this. And I don't want to do that. I'm going to keep it straight, but I'm going to show you something else. Or say I want to rotate this from right here where the sun is. I can go right there, put it right there where the sun is, and now when I rotate, it's going to rotate around that point. So I think this is a good size to start with. I'm not sure. Well, actually, I'm going to go a little smaller, but I'm going to go right about there. And once you have this size like this, there's two things you can do. You can either hit enter on your keyboard, and that will set the size of this, or right up here on the top toolbar, you've got this check mark. This also will set your image. So you could do that. You could do it either way. You know, it's up to you. Totally up to you. So over here, you should see your layers tab. If you don't see your layers tab and maybe your windows are a bit of a mess, what you could do is you can go up here to Window, go to Workspace, and then right here you can click Reset Essentials. They have a variety of different types of workspaces to use. Essentials is fine, and so you can just hit the Reset Essentials here, and it'll reset all these windows over here to the left so that you can see all these views. And I'm going to leave mine as is, but another thing I'm going to show y'all is some of y'all might have seen me do this in class when I was working with you on your projects, but if you double click these tabs here, it opens them and also closes them. Okay, now we're not really working with any of these other tabs here. We're mainly going to be looking at layers, so I'm just going to leave this layers as tall as it is because there's going to be a lot of layers here, and I want to make sure that I can see as many of them as possible. So yeah, as you start layering these things up, it's going to become a lot. And so what I can do to rename this so that I know exactly what it is if I double click right here where the name is, it highlights it, and now I can change the name. So I'm going to say Sunset Airplane because I'm pretty sure I got a couple of sunset photos. And so now, once I get all my layers going and say I want to resize this or move it around, I know exactly which one it is. Let's go on to the next photo. So what you're going to do here is I'm going to reopen this window, and I'm just going to grab another photo and drag it right over, and you see where it says plus copy. That lets you know you're dropping it into Photoshop. And so I'm going to keep going through these. It's a pretty repetitive process doing it this way. So I'm just going to go through these. I'm going to speed through this video, and once I come to another point where I need to explain something, then I will stop and explain that. So let me go through this. One thing I want to show you real quick is this photo over here that I just dropped in. I don't like how this other photo is covering the palm trees at the top here. And so you got to remember all these layers over here, they are shown in the order that they are stacked, right? So the top of the list is the topmost photo. The bottom of the list is the bottommost photo. And so right here, this one that I dropped in, called it Long Beach, it is right under the LA Beach one, right? And so I want this one above that one. The other thing, in case you missed it in class, because I know I explained this to some of you, this little eyeball looking thing makes things visible and invisible. When you see that eyeball there, that means it's visible. When you don't see it, that means it's invisible. So that's another way to check your files and see what's there, see what isn't, see what's what. And so in order to move this and rearrange this, I'm just going to grab this. You see it's the lighter gray right here. That means it's highlighted. So I'm just going to grab this layer, click on it, and drag it up. You see those blue outlines in the background. That lets you know where you're dropping it. And so now, if you look, that Long Beach photo is above the LA Beach photo. Back to dropping in more photos. All right, one more thing I want to show you. I want to use this photo right here, but I don't really like the spaces I have available because those blank spaces are kind of tall. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set this photo as is for now, right? I'm going to drop it into the canvas and just leave it just like this for the moment, okay? So I'm going to show you another tool you can use that could help. Right here under your Move tool, you have this rectangular Marquee tool. What this does is this allows you to create selections, and so what I'm going to do is you got now this different cursor here. I am going to drag a vertical rectangle over this because I don't really want the whole photo. Really what I want to show is this palm tree with the colors in the background, right? And so if I make the selection over the photo like this area in here is what I want. I have my layer selected. I have the photo selected the way I want. If I come over here and I hit this mask button, remember we did this last time. This is add a mask to your layer. So if I click this, what it's going to do is, if you look at the thumbnail here, everything that was outside of my selection, which was on over here to the left of this photo, is now black. Everything that is right here inside my selection that I wanted to keep is white. And so when you use that selection tool, you can drag over your images and make selections, and then use the mask once you have that selection to hide areas of the photo that you may not want to show. Okay, so now that I have this photo cropped the way I want it to, I'm going to go back to my Move tool, right? I'm going to click back to this because that's what we use to move things around. I'm going to resize this. Now, another way to resize this, like let's say you already have it on your canvas and you realize I want to make this photo bigger, I want to make this photo smaller, maybe I want to turn it. There's a keyboard shortcut for that, okay? We're going to do Control button and then you hit the T. When you hit that, this brings you right up to the same thing that you saw before when you dropped the photos in. It's going to give you these boxes and this border right here, and it's going to allow you to resize it. So I'm going to go right here with this photo. And what I'm doing when I'm resizing is I'm kind of looking for where those gaps are right there. And I am resizing to cover all those gaps, because the way I want to do mine is I want things to be overlapping each other. So again, I'm going to show you another tool, another way to use your mask and to also use that selection tool. So I'm going to leave this photo just the size that it is for right now. I'm going to hit enter on this. It's set. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to the selection tool, and I'm going to go with the second one right here, the elliptical Marquee tool. Now what this does is this allows me to make selections in a circle. You see that? I got this circle marquee popping up now. So I'm going to show you two shortcuts with this. If you hold the Shift key on your keyboard and you drag out, this will allow you to make a perfect circle. What you want to do to not mess this up is let go of the button on the mouse before you let go of Shift. So I'm going to show you what happens when you let go of Shift too soon. I'm going to hold Shift right now. I'm dragging out, and I'm just pulling this circle down, 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 and I'm going to let this go, and boom. because my cursor was not going out like in the direction it should have gone for a perfect circle. As soon as I let go of shift, I'm still holding the mouse. The circle then, the path of the circle then follows the cursor. So now I've got this elongated, elliptical here. And so when you do this again, you want to hold shift, click, and then drag, drag, drag. In order to keep this perfect circle you got, let go of your mouse and then let go of shift. And now you've got a perfect circle. The other thing you can do here as well is as I move into my selection, as long as I'm still on that marquee tool, if I move into the selection, you see how my cursor has changed. I can grab this selection and move it around, right? And so like you see these pink lines popping up, these are guides to let you know you're lined up with something, right? And so I'm like right there, I'm lined up to the middle of the canvas here vertically. And if I go this way, you'll see I'm lined up now to the middle of the canvas horizontally as well. So this is exactly in the middle of the frame. So one more way to another shortcut you can do with this marquee tool right here to get another circle. There's two things here. If I hold the Alt key, right, Alt on the keyboard right next to the spacebar, and I drag out, what this is going to do is this is going to make, like normally when you're using this tool, all your shapes are going to come from the corner. This is making it from the center. So let me show you that again. So I'm going to click right here in the middle of the Virgin Mary here. I'm going to click here, holding Alt, and as I pull out, it is making an ellipse from the middle of where I clicked, right? And so another cool thing you can do is if you hold Shift and Alt, you can then make a perfect circle straight from the middle. So if you know where your center is, like if I want to put a circle right around her face right here, I can click right there in the middle, hold Alt, hold Shift. I got Alt and Shift being held together. I can pull this out and now I've got a perfect circle right from the middle of her face. So now I have my canvas covered. So now I'm going to bring in the photo of myself. My friend took this photo of me at the studio. I'm going to leave myself this big for now. I'm just going to keep this size here. And I'm going to show you another trick that I haven't really showed y'all in class yet. And it's a faster way to make a selection and mask something out. So when you're when you have a photo like this, and obviously I am the subject of the photo, I'm going to go up here to select, and I'm going to choose subject. And when you've got photos like this, Photoshop is pretty intelligent. It can, for the most part, it can figure out the outline of your subject and then turn that into a selection. So I'm going to zoom in here, and again, zooming in is Control plus, zooming in is Control minus. And so yeah, this is pretty good. You can see it cut off a little bit of my ear right there. I'm not really too worried about it for this project. We'll let that be. It Mike Tyson'd my ear. All good, no problem. But also, like right here, if I really wanted to be perfect, this little area in the middle of my shoelace, that's the backdrop, so I could brush that out, and I'll show you how to fix that in a second. It didn't get my shoe perfect right here, but that's okay. We're going to take this anyway. So again, I've got the selection around myself, the subject. I'm going to hit the mask button here, and boom, we now have a mask around me. So I'm going to zoom back in, and I'm going to fix these areas. So once again, this is a mask